Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Orange County, thank you for that, Advisory Committee for Redistricting. We are thrilled that we've got some public comment, we've got some public here, we're here on Orange TV, and we are having folks participate in our process. In order to start the meeting, will you please stand and join me in a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's have a very quick roll call so we can establish quorum and go from there. I am here. Co-Chair Evans.
Here.
Gary Jones. Ruth Ann Connor King. Zach Hoover.
Here.
Mayor Kilsheimer. Mayor's not here yet. Jason Mellon.
Here.
Mark Arias. Mark not yet. Tom Callan. We knew he wasn't going to be here. Jimmy Alfont. Julio Roca. No Julio. Okay. Wes Hodge.
Here.
Kelly Simrod. Virginia Whittington. Okay, Virginia needs to be here. She's got maps to present. And Commissioner Hardage. Here. We do have quorum. We are thrilled to be here in District 3 with Commissioner Maya Uribe. Thank you for providing all of the young people to guide us in. That was such a treat. That was so much fun. And I don't know if that was Colonial High School or Commissioner Uribe, but that was very cool. And Commissioner, would you like to greet us? I'm sorry, it is a long walk, Commissioner. Okay, there's Roca. Only Virginia is.
Good evening. I want to thank Co-Chairman Tigo Perez and all of the board here for coming out to District 3 tonight. A big thank you to the principal for Colonial High School and the hosts that they are tonight that greeted us, and to the residents who came out tonight. I look forward to the participation. I thank you all for your service in this endeavor, and look forward to hearing everyone and seeing the discussion today with the maps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thanks for the hospitality. And I see Commissioner Wilson in the crowd. Commissioner, would you like to share some remarks or just wave to the folks? Well, thank you. You've been a regular at all of our meetings, and we appreciate that so very much. Okay, at this time, we're going to move into public comment. If you are here and wish to make a public comment, please fill out a public comment card. I'll be calling folks off of the cards. I have 5 right now, but if I don't have a card, I will not be able to call you up. So if you're here to speak, please fill out a card. Staff will have them for you. I have 1 electronic email, and I need my glasses for that. An electronic public comment. It comes from Ann Patton. Subject is problem with submitting statement for redistricting, hearing 3, but it's really about redistricting. It will be in our information. You'll be able to access that electronic comment on the website. We're going to now move into public comment. These are obviously in no particular order. When you're called, I'll ask you to go to the podium, state your name and address, and then you will have 3 minutes for public comment. My first speaker is Brian Grossbernard. I apologize if I messed up your last name. Brian Grossbernard. I couldn't have messed it up that much. Okay, perhaps he stepped out. We'll put that aside for a moment. Todd Catella. Just to prepare, following Todd will be Cynthia Harris. Mr. Catella, you've got 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm a long-term resident of District 3. Grew up in the Oak Ridge area, even before the YMCA was over there on Oak Ridge Road. So we've been here for a while. And District 3, there are two maps that looked appealing to me. The presentation that we had last week on the District 3 that goes expanded all the way to the Orange-Osceola County border looked very appealing. When you look at how all the various maps through the different redistricting cycles have gone and go to that particular historical legal document, you'll see that there's been significant changes from time to time throughout the process. And so this change here would not be that off the wall. District 3, the demographics, the overall businesses, things like that, all the way down to Osceola County would match very well for this district. The only question I have on that particular map, and it looks like this is a revision of the proposal 5 with maybe taking in Wedgefield into account here, is what I'm seeing as a first glance. But the only question I have is the section right towards that top section there where it's jolted out. I believe that's probably Azalea Park from Cimarron. I don't know why that's not pushed over to Goldenrod. I live in a neighborhood that is within the city limits of Orlando, and we have 1.5 streets in our neighborhood that are in Orange County unincorporated, and everything else is Orlando. And that 1.5 streets there, if they're going to a community meeting, actually need to go to a community meeting across the street from Orange County. So it makes sense for that particular neighborhood going all the way to Goldenrod to be incorporated in there as well. And it looks like you're minus 0.23% on that one. You're plus 0.87% on 4. So I don't know what the number difference will be, but I'd be interested in seeing that particular change there. Whether it's Proposal 5 with the modifications that the gentleman will make, or whether it's this map, to me doesn't make any difference. I know that there was interest in keeping Wedgefield a part of District 5. So, but I do like the concept of District 3 going all the way to Orange and Osceola, being bordered by Goldenrod and Orange Blossom Trail all the way down. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Catella. Thank you for your thoughtful comments. Ms. Cynthia Harris. And next up will be Lisa Jones, just so you can get yourself ready. Ms. Harris, please, your name and address, and then you've got 3 minutes.
Cynthia Harris, 12 Channing Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32811. Historically, communities of interest that look like me have not had a level playing field when it comes to voting and representation. If you look at the current map of District 6, you will see that the African American population has been packed like cattle. Although it looks good on paper, by packing only one district, it has decreased in voter strength and influence countywide. Upon looking at the proposed map by both presenters tonight and playing around with the maps myself, I have found it very grueling and a difficult task. Although I want to preserve a majority-minority district, I'm also concerned that we will continue to have disparate impact on communities of interest whose voice is disseminated and diluted with gentrification and an inclusion of the jail population who are not real residents of my district. We cannot afford to continue another decade of disparate impact in the next 5 years. The community of interest will be diluted, therefore not maintaining equal voice and protection under the law. Currently, there are 6 public housing units, which 5 are in District 6, and City of Orlando 5 and 6. The reality is that the City of Orlando has not withdrawn their application for demolition of displacement of these residents, nor is there a viable action plan to assure that these residents remain where they were counted in the 2020 census. One housing project currently has less than 10 families remaining due to forced relocation and uninhabitable living conditions. By 2030, they will be all gone, but where would they go? Certainly not in District 6, as there is no suitable room for growth. As I review the maps that are on the table for consideration tonight, I see a new hardship for communities such as Winter Garden, Edaville, Maitland, and Fairview Shores that will virtually be displaced by detrimental intrusion. Furthermore, communities like Orla Vista and residents of North Pine Hills have adamantly expressed that they wish to remain in their current districts and not be herded or split up. Please look at the real Orange County and not just the 20 census numbers, as they don't add up. We can no longer afford unfair districts and poor representation for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris, for your comments. Next up, Lisa Jones. And following her, we're going to try Brian Grossbernard again. Ms. Jones, you've got 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. Lisa Jones, 51 East Jefferson Street, Orlando, 32802. I find myself at a disadvantage because I have been trying to look at the maps and understand exactly what I'm seeing, and then the public comment is before the explanation of the maps. And so I know I'm not the only one here that is likely having that problem. And I would encourage the advisory council, I'm not sure how the process is decided, but I think in all fairness to the public, it would really help us for somebody to explain it to us, and then we have the opportunity to comment on it. So I do want to express that consternation. The other thing that I do know in regards to redistricting is for District 6 especially, we're having an issue with gentrification occurring, both in the county and by the city, which I know county and city are separate, but either way it still has an impact. And so that's a big concern that I have, is with the changes that are being proposed, does it even take that into account? The fact that, as Ms. Harris mentioned, the populations in terms of the ethnic background is going to be changing very soon. And so how is that taken into account, and what is that going to mean over the next 10 years? So hopefully that's something that will be explained to us as we're going through the proposals of the proposed changes. But at the same time, then you won't be able to hear what we think about that because of the fact that we spoke first as opposed to speaking second, or after you all present the changes. The other concern, going back to redistricting, is I agree with Ms. Harris's comments in terms of how it has impacted especially the African American community in District 6 in the past, and I continue to have those concerns with how this is going to impact our community. We don't have a lot of people here who were able to come from the District 6 community, but had they been able to come, I'm sure that they also would have expressed some concerns as to exactly how this will, what will be the negative impacts and what will be the positive impacts. So I do hope that's something that you all will explain very clearly, and after it's explained, I hope that the public will have an opportunity to make additional comments after they have a better understanding of what's being presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Brian Gross. Mr. Grossbernard, please state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
So my name is Brian Grossbernard. I understand the difficulty it is, all those consonants at the end make it a little challenging. I live actually just around the corner on Golden Sunshine Circle, so I'm right from this area. I unfortunately haven't had the time to look in detail at all of the information regarding the redistricting. What I'm most interested in is any prior discussions, but also what is looked at in terms of what the maximum number of residents should be covered by commissioners. At what point does it become where there need to be more? Because I find that the higher the ratio goes between representative and voters, that that increases their distance. So I don't know, what has already been discussed regarding that, but that is my particular interest at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up, James Haynes, and following Mr. Haynes will be Danny Ramos. If anyone else is here who wishes to make a public comment, in order to do so, you need to fill out a public comment card. Once again, if you've just gotten here, so if you wish to speak, fill out a card so that I'll have your information and I can recognize you from the chair. Mr. Haynes, you've got 3 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
My name is James Haynes. My address is 4351 Tidewater Drive, Orlando. That's in the county of Orange. In looking at the map, I notice a lot of small areas that seem to be cut out, squiggly lines, that sort of thing, and everybody, as I can see that on there, and they have to wonder what's going on there. Why did we have this discrete area cut out there? To my mind, what we should be seeing are mostly rectangles or rough rectangles in there, without regard to cutting out any certain communities, doing anything to benefit any elected official, that sort of thing. I'm also against single race districts. When you do that, what you're doing is when you heard, like the one lady mentioned, all the African American people into one district, it's true that they get to basically have an increased chance of electing somebody that's more appropriate for them. But on the other hand, they have no voice at all in all the other districts, or a decreased voice. And our districts need to be more diverse rather than less diverse, is what I'm saying. And when I see districts that are chopped up or squiggly, that sort of thing, it suggests to me that there's a reason for that, and I have a level of discomfort with that. I am interested in keeping everything fair and equal, and that's what I have to say. Let's make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Danny Ramos. We'll try that again. Danny Ramos. We want to see if Danny's in the hall. While he's there, I do want to make one announcement that last week we had spoken about, and Member Hodge had asked a couple of things for MapQuest. So over the last week, the online Maptitude web app was modified to display the census-designated places and jurisdictions with unique colors that help differentiate them from other adjacent census-designated places or jurisdictions. As you know, we draw by census tract, which, by the way, explains all of the wiggly lines. But previously, the areas were all in gray, but Mr. Hodge requested that we mark them with specific colors, and they are now segregated by color, so you can take a look. It's a little bit easier now to see where the different areas are designated. You'll see a change once you access the online Maptitude and try to create a new plan. All existing plan or plans made prior to the update do not incorporate the new colors, but it also includes shared plans that were made prior to the update and only plans created after this update, which was this week, will contain the new colors to symbolize the CDPs and jurisdiction areas. It doesn't require that the old maps that were started prior to the update be changed. They're just going to maintain the gray color scheme. So thank you, Mr. Hodge, for that suggestion, and thank you, staff, for responding appropriately and getting that done for us. So thank you for that. One more shot for Danny Ramos, or we're going to close public comment. Okay, I suspect Mr. Ramos may have, I don't know what he did, but notwithstanding, I will close public comment at this point in time and move on then to our agenda. The first items on our agenda are approval of the minutes in your packets that were emailed to you, and hopefully you've reviewed. We've got advisory committee meeting minutes from October 18th, 2021. I'm going to take them separately just to make sure. Is there a motion? Is there any discussion or changes to the October 18th meeting minutes? Got approval, motion of approval from member Alfont. Is there a second? Several seconds. I'll take Julio Roca's second on that. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I wasn't seconding. I apologize. I wanted to ask a question.
Oh, please, Julio.
It was my understanding, and I could be mistaken, that the electronic comment was going to be added to the minutes or referenced in the minutes.
They're not referenced in the minutes, but they are on the website.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the October 18th? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. October 25th meeting minutes. Any changes, corrections, deletions, or is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, if I could be recognized.
Where'd that come from?
Wes Hodge, sorry.
Use your button. Use your button. Okay, Mr. Hodge.
The minutes mark me as present, and I appreciate that. However, I was not here.
Okay, thank you for that correction. Staff, if we'll fix that piece. Are there any other suggestions, changes, deletions, corrections? Yes, Mr. Arias.
Sorry. Chair, first I'd like to know if my vote is working.
Push it.
I pushed it.
And you showed up.
Great, and it's the right one.
All right, that's right. You will not be Mr. Alfont all night tonight. Thank you for that.
As to the minutes on October 25th, something very simple. I think it's just a misspelling on of my name on the second page, where it says motion, and then it says second. About third paragraph down, Mr. Rocha, /.
Okay.
Not a big deal, but
No, but it's a ministerial correction, so thank you for that.
other than that, I would move to accept the minutes.
Okay, we've got a motion to accept the minutes. Is there a second? Got a second? Okay. Gary.
So sorry, push the button and must not have. Okay. I think on the 25th I was marked absent.
Yes, you were in attendance at that meeting, but you showed up after the roll, so we need to
That's-
correct that. Thank you.
I see. Thank
Staff,
you.
if we can correct Gary's participation at that meeting, that would be wonderful. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. We've got a couple of changes and corrections. Is there any further discussion on the meeting minutes for the 25th? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, same sign. Thank you. Those are all approved. We'll move into the informational agenda. We've got two maps submitted, Proposal 9 and Proposal 10, both by Member Callan. So we will send those to staff for review, and we will consider those next week. This is also a good time for me to remind us all that the last date for submitting maps on our schedule is November 29th. So if you're going to submit, please don't save them all to the end. So November 29th is our last day for map submission. Okay, we're going to move on into the discussion agenda. We've got 3 new maps to consider and 2 to reconsider from Member Whittington. Member Whittington, you're over there, sorry. We had a full discussion of your maps, but we also said that you could give us a refresher at this meeting. So if you are ready, you are welcome to 5 minutes per map to refresh. There will be no additional discussion on these maps. We finished that last week, but if you just want to remind the general public about them, that will be wonderful.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to everyone who's come out tonight to participate in this process. It is very, very important, and we're so really honored to have you here to take part in this. Mr. Chair, what I would like to do, because I have reviewed some of the ensuing maps, and because this process and the way it's going to work is my understanding is as these maps go forward, we will vote them up or down in terms of moving them through the process. There is actually a map coming forward that I am more favorable to than the two that I have presented, and to not waste this committee's time, if it is in order, I will withdraw the two maps that I have proposed.
I'll second that motion.
That is totally appropriate, member, and very elegant as well.
Yeah.
So they have been presented, so I am going to need a motion to pull them. So you've got a motion from Ms. Whittington. We've got a second from Julio Roca to withdraw her two maps, which would be proposal 3 and 4. Is there any discussion on the motion to allow Member Whittington to withdraw her maps? Seeing none, I will call the question on that. All in favor of allowing the withdrawal of proposals 3 and 4, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Whittington. Let's move into our discussion agenda and our presentations. Commissioner Hardage, you have planned proposal number 6 and a PowerPoint for us. You are so prepared, sir. Thank you. The speaker's dais is yours. You've got 5 minutes to present, and then we'll have 15 minutes to talk.
Okay, good afternoon. Of course, glad to be here. To our commissioners, thank you for your presence. To our two chairs, thank you for running such a great meeting. I do have a presentation. Are we?
Let's stop the clock until the commissioner's presentation comes up on the screen. I don't want to eat his time.
I don't know if they're going to.
Oh, you don't know? We don't have the PowerPoint from the commissioner?
We were presented with hard copies this evening, which were passed out to all of the committee members. They will be uploaded tomorrow morning for the general public.
Okay. I just thought if we had, this is it. Yes, if we had it, it would have been fun, but I'm sure the commissioner will make very clear what he's talking about. So let's restart his clock, and the time is yours.
Thank you. Again, I'm Commissioner Homer Hardage, member of the Redistricting Committee appointed by Commissioner Victoria Siplin. Today I'm presenting what I have labeled as the Orange County Fair District Plan, better known as Committee Proposal Number 6. The maps had several goals. One, to maintain contiguous districts, maintain traditional district boundaries where possible, preserve municipal boundaries, maintain communities of interest, consideration of incumbents, and the creation of near equal population districts for all 6 districts. While every effort has been made to adhere to these goals, there may be circumstances where we have been limited, either limited by the map or limited by the map designer, who is myself. The significant proposal changes. Most of the changes, the most significant changes occur in District 3. No disrespect to the District 3 members, but this is just a proposal at this point. But the 3 main changes would be to the south of District 3, and that is that tariff goes from District 4 into District 3, and the Orlando International Airport is split to a greater extent between 3 and 4. The Boggy Creek area also shifts from District 4 into District 3, from District 4 to District 3. I may have that backwards. Another goal was to maintain communities of interest, and the proposal intends to maintain the boundaries of Oakland, Tildenville, Gotha, Edenville, Buffalo, Christmas, Holden Heights, Holden Lakes, Williamsburg, and Winter Park, and I think we accomplished that goal. During legal staff's review, they had several concerns, but the four main ones were adjustments to areas of the map that were either left out or not included. I won't read all of those, but these adjustments, but I will read them. Adjustments to proposal boundaries between 4 and 5 in order to avoid placing 0.72% of Alafaya or 670 people into District 5. Adjusting the proposal boundaries between District 2 and District 5 in order to avoid placing 3.5% of Edenville population, 83 people, into District 5. Adjusting the proposed boundaries between District 3 and District 6 in order to move the remaining 1.44% of Holden Lakes population, 59 people, into District 6. And number 4 was adjusting the proposed boundaries between 2 and 5 in order to move the remaining 0.05 population of Winter Park, which is only 14 people, into District 5. And this accomplished one of my goals, which was to keep communities together. It moves all of Winter Park into one district. The one person, one vote is one of the primary requirements of redistricting. The proposed redistricting plan meets that requirement, which is a requirement of the federal, state, and Orange County statutes. The next map that you see shows a percentage breakdown by district, and you can notice that the districts are nearly evenly split with percentages. District 1, 17, District 2, 17%, District 3, 16%, District 4, 17%, District 5, 16%, and District 6, 17%, pretty near equal. The next chart shows the percentage breakdown by race, ethnicity, and you can see that these numbers also reflect the percentages that are on the maps, and it maintains the integrity of nearly all the districts to a similar percentage as they had prior to the redistricting in terms of their ethnicity. In conclusion, this proposed map preserves core prior political districts, maintains communities of interest, preserves municipal boundaries to the greatest extent possible, and creates near equal population distribution for all the districts. And I thank you for this opportunity. The only thing I would add is if this committee sees fit to move this map forward, then I would like to move a motion to add all 4 of the staff's recommendations for inclusion or exclusion, as they may be. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Legal review?
Thank you, Commissioner Hardage. Your presentation breaks down the different points very well. I don't want to be repetitive of Mr. Hardage's presentation, so I'll just read out a couple of the splits and the divisions as I do for all the different proposals. There are new multi-district splits that are being proposed by this map in Alafaya, Eatonville, Fairview Shores, Maitland, and Winter Garden. The populations are being fully moved to new districts in Taft and Tildenville. And then the populations are fully being consolidated into one district. That means that the population was currently split, and this map fixes that split. And that would be the population of Belle Isle, where that 0.04 population was rejoined with the rest of the population in District 3. Populations that have the less than 5% or over 90% in one district from the map. These do include the corrections that Mr. Hardage agreed to with, on staff's suggestions. So that would be Alafaya, Eatonville, Holden Lakes. The City of Orlando does have a minor change, and then Winter Park. And then the other population adjustments, there's a shift in the Ocoee population, which you can see on the chart. Pine Hills has a shift in population. And then the map does address a 0 population block that is in Lockhart by joining it into District 2.
Yes, correct.
And so otherwise, there are a couple of little fixes and cleanups in the map, but the committee wants to go forward. Staff can definitely work with Mr. Hardage to fix just a couple of those that were attached as Committee Proposals 6.5, Committee Proposals 6 Attachment 6, and Committee Proposal 6 Attachment 7.
Thank you. So conclusion is it meets legal requirements and standards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. We will now begin debate. If we can set the clock at 15 minutes. I would presume that if we move this map forward, it will be with the amendments that Commissioner Hardage has proposed, so I would have suggested as we talk about it, we not necessarily mention those, because I suspect we'll get that done. Our first speaker is, people are coming and going, so if you want to speak, don't push it twice. So right now, our first speaker is Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I like this map. This is my favorite map to date. I'll start with the things that I like. I like how Winter Park was more equally distributed. So there was 498 that was in District 2, and now I see that there's 14. So I like moving it towards District 5. I liked the divide in Winter Garden between District 1 and District 2. I liked that all of the rural settlements were left within one district so that those people only had to work with one commissioner. I have a concern regarding Pine Hills with the movement of like about 7,000 people towards District 6, which I will come back to. I had a concern with Oakland. It just says that in District 2 there are 0. So is that perhaps that there's businesses that are there?
The objective was to move all of Oakland into one district, which would be District number 1, I believe. So where there might be an error, the map may have missed a small portion, but the intent was to put all of Oakland. And the piece that you have mentioned, I don't think it has many residents, if any, but we can take a look at that.
Okay. I like what you did with Maitland, moving some of Maitland out of District 5 and into District 2. And further, my other concern is Eatonville, split between District 2 and District 5. It's a community that has historic heritage. I believe it's the oldest African-American town that was established in the United States. It has a lot of significance behind it. I've researched it, and I would like to keep Eatonville together in District 2, and it's a small amount of people that has been moved into District 5, and I'm just wondering if your numbers would deviate that much if we put the 83 from District 5 into District 2. Do you know?
Yes, I will admit that if they're not all in District 2, then that's a map area or a map designer error. We intended to put it all in one district.
Okay. Then the Pine Hills, anything we can do to lessen the 7,000 number that was moved to District 6?
I can share with you that was one of the most difficult parts of designing this map. I think several of the board members have mentioned Pine Hills and how we how we design maps to accommodate District 2 and District 6 and how we distribute those voters. But I've tried everything, even dramatically splitting the districts in half and creating boxes. Someone said do squares. We even tried that to make it work. But I don't know of any reasonable way to handle that disparity without moving the line of District 6 from Silver Star up northward. I'm open to suggestions for that, but I could not find one, and I've had it reviewed by several people. They could not come up with any reasonable ones either. But the other real concern is that when you change the map in this way, the percentage of African American votes in District, I know this is not a primary concern of the map design, but the percentage of African American in District 2 actually decreased somewhere between 28 and 29%, from 32 to 29%. And we tried several ways to keep that at 32 or reduce or increase it, but we couldn't find a reasonable way. I'm open to suggestions for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Whittington and Member Affont, you keep coming in and then off and then in and then off. So if you just know you're not on the screen now, so you know that. Member Whittington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me, Commissioner Hardage.
Thank you.
Very well done. This is my favorite map too.
Thank you.
The concerns that I had coming in, I think you have responded to them in your remarks tonight, having to do with Alafaya. I would like to see that in at least 2, if not wholly in 1. With that being split between 3 districts, I think that excuse me, causes an issue. I noted thank you in Belle Isle because I tried hard to get those 3 from District 4 into District 3, and you have accomplished that. I have less of an issue with the Eatonville split. I believe that Eatonville deserves some additional help. And at times when you have two different commissioners that you're working with, that comes with some additional aid that may come to that community. The other place where I had a question was with the Fairview Shores. You had that split also into 3 districts, and I think it may change the numbers a little bit if you move them out, but I would be supportive of that being in 2 again.
Excuse me, what community was that?
Fairview Shores. And I understand the city of Orlando. And then the last one was with the Winter Park. There's like 14 that are in District 2, which is 0.05%, that could probably easily be moved back into District 5.
Yes,
So
I
that
support
Winter
that
Park
as well.
that municipality is wholly within District 5. Other than those concerns, there was a couple of map anomalies that happen with trying to get a census block and you get a road and there's 0 population. And so I think being able to work through those, I could definitely support moving this map forward.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Member Whittington. Mark Arias. Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Co-Chair. Thank you, Colonial High School. It's been a long time since I've been here, but I'm glad to be here. It's really proud to represent District 3. Thank you, Commissioner Uribe. For the public, we have the benefit of a handout that tells us what the traditional redistricting principles are, and we're supposed to review these. Mr. Hardage, I think you did a great job. I really do. I'd like to know what your thought was behind Holden Lakes and moving it out of District 3 completely.
I would tend to agree that it should have stayed where it was, but one of the objectives was to create as near equal districts as we possibly could, and if you notice from the percentages, they are fairly equal now. If there was a compelling reason to redesign the map to move it back, I would be willing to do that, but it would throw the numbers off quite a bit, but I don't have any objections to that. But it was basically done as a way to equalize the map population.
So the way I see it is LFA's got a small movement. Belle Isle was fine. Honestly, I think the 83 people left out of Eatonville was not a problem. It's 83 people, and I think 2 representatives or 2 commissioners would be a help. I thought Edgewood and Fairview did a good job. You're all right with Lockhart. What was the thought behind moving Maitland, which is old District 5, into 5 and 2? It's a little concerning because you're moving 5,500 people out of District 5, it looks like, into District 2.
For this map, that was necessary to keep the percentages where I thought they should be. And I'm not sure where we would be on the final vote for maps, but that was a consideration there.
And I see Oakland, Ocoee, a small amount. You're splitting between 1 and 2. How about the northern pockets of the city of Orlando? I saw that you were moving a few of them around. Could you talk to me a little bit about moving the city of Orlando there, the northern pockets?
Well, I can. When I was designing the map, I pulled out the townships and the communities of interest and tried not to split those communities, but on your larger cities, your Winter Gardens, your Oaklands, your city of Orlandos, those were pretty much split up as necessary to make the map work. So that's why those cities were set up the way they are. But the smaller town centers and the communities of interest, I tried to protect as many of those as possible. And I think we got nearly all of them. We probably did get them all.
Don't get me wrong. I see what you're saying.
Yes,
and
sir.
when you take that into consideration, which is one of the principles we need to consider, I'll go back to Holden Lakes, considering that it is an accord district from District 3, and it's been traditionally in District 3. And you moved it, as I said, completely out of 3, but I'm glad to see that you're amenable to some correction to that, perhaps.
So, question. Are you suggesting that we move?
No, not at this time. Not at this time. I don't have a problem with it at this moment. I'm going down my list here. Looks like you moved all of Taft from 4 to 6?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What was the thought behind that, sir?
I didn't want to split it.
That's good. But it's traditionally in 4, isn't it?
You have me there. I can't remember without looking at my notes, but I'll take your word for that.
And I don't have
As a matter of fact, I do know that. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it
that's
was.
another core district that's being moved out of the district. It was District 4, their core traditionally, and now it's going into 6.
Well, I hope I got this right. I was trying to keep all the districts right at the number that's been set by the census population. And if you notice, nearly all of the districts have 238,000 plus people, plus or minus a few. So when you start to mess around with the map, you can still do that, but then some of the districts are going to end up with 1.2 instead of 0.05. So I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying that if we're going to stick strictly as close as we can to district boundaries, to townships, and to the objective of making it fair for everybody, then those are some things that we may have to deal with.
I understand, and
Yes,
just so I can finish my thought on this particular map. Tilden was fine. Winter Garden, I understand the split. It's almost 50-50 in between 1 and 2.
Yes.
And that was good. And then Winter Park, I think the deviation is super small. Overall, I think you have a good map, and I would support moving it forward. I do believe, looking at the old map and the way population has gone, that District 3 needs to go south towards Taft. So I support your map, and I think it's a good map. I'm not going to move now because we still have a few minutes left, but I would support it.
Thank you, Member Arias. Member Simrad again. Kelly, you're up again? Oh, okay. Member Affont.
Thank you. I'm kind of interested why you decided to go all the way to Young and put that in District 4. That's always been District 1. It's basically one side of the street is Hunters Creek and the other side of the street, as far as I'm concerned, is Hunter Creek. And I'm surprised of that. I'm also kind of concerned that we basically leave Ocoee split up in half again, even though our members here have begged us from the District 2, both of them has begged us to put them all together. I have a slight problem with those 2 points. Also, going south is interesting, and I understand that. For the record, since I am District 4, and for the record, since I live in that area, the census contortion calling Alafaya is a myth. It has Avenlo Park, it has Eastwood, it has about 7 developments in there, and sometimes when we talk like it's being divided, it really isn't, because Avenlo Park is about a good mile and a half away from Eastwood. So I know the census decided to put that in there. So some people are concerned about that. I am not. But I am concerned with the changes between District 3 and 4, particularly going across Orange Blossom Trail, which has always been a dividing line, and incorporating that into District 4. And basically, it might not be called Hunters Creek. It's across the street from Young, and as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people, it's the same neighborhood, so that would be something new. And what I'm looking at is that there's some changes here that are okay, but I still think that you could just throw back the line to Orange Blossom Trail, leave that in District 1, and put the rest of Ocoee in District 2 where it belongs. Simple change suggestion. Number-wise, I've done the map. It would work out. It would create a problem for District 4 where we need to grow someplace, and maybe we could start thinking about other areas where we could grow. But basically, taking from District 1 and putting it in District 4, which both need to lose mathematically, for me, creates a problem. Otherwise, I really don't have a problem with the map, but those are my 2 areas. I think we need to listen to the people of Ocoee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alfont. You've got 19 seconds left.
Okay, if I may respond to that, Mr. Alfont, the one reason I pulled out District 3 for special comments in the presentation was that I saw those as possible points of contention also, moving that line south. I would be interested in discussing that, but I think it's the best way for this particular map.
Thank you, Commissioner. We are out of time on this map. However, there seems to be a great interest in this map. It seems like it's got the support to move forward, and I'm confident the conversation is helpful to Commissioner Hardage, the map's presenter. My co-chair and I are more than willing to extend another 5 minutes to the Commissioner if the committee feels as though we want to continue speaking about this map. Just kind of give me some kind of sign.
In case there is none, I would move to let it go forward.
Yeah, we don't need a motion. We can, we will extend that time for 5, not 15. Thank you. Another 5 minutes. Next up, Member Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I'll keep it very brief, just to echo the sentiments of fellow committee member Arias about the split in Maitland. I share that concern. Also, the movement in Holden is of concern to me as well. And also the question that I had was, what was the deciding factor on that border for the east or the western edge of District 5, south of Colonial Drive in the Avalon area? It doesn't seem, it's currently using a river as the boundary, and the boundary that's there looks rather interesting. So I was just wondering what was the impetus for that line, please.
You're mentioning the northern area, northern portion of District 5, where it busts District 3 and kind of makes that little curve to the left?
No, where it's up against District 4, south of Colonial Drive, the Lake Pickett Drive area, the eastern edge of that, the eastern edge of the district up there for District 4.
I'm not sure. That's not the right map.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, yes. What's the community right there? I don't have my notes in front of me. There's a community here.
Let's stop the clock while we figure this out, please.
No, this community here is, yeah, but this is a community right here.
So, yeah, I'm not sure.
This is
Biflo. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I got
restart.
it. There's a little small corner of Biflo that was left out. That was in district number 3. In that corner, and I moved all of Biflo into District 5. There was only a small piece left in district number 4. And that's what that little corner piece is about. That's why that little squiggly line is there. And that was because I wanted to try to keep all those communities together. Now, I could have just left it there. The population there is not great, but that gives them one commissioner, one district.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Roca.
One, I want to congratulate you on the map. It's a pretty good map, even though I don't agree with some of the stuff, but it's a good map. Question, when you're coming up OBT to Jungyong, where do you make a left? What street? Is that Deerfield?
You got me. Maybe staff can help me with that. What's the question again?
If you're coming up OBT and you're making a left to get to Jungyong, do you know what street you're making a left on?
I'm sorry, but I don't have that level of detail. Maybe staff can help us with that.
Tell them.
I mean, there are like a gazillion roads on this map, so.
I know, I was trying to expand it and I wasn't able to.
We're trying to get it.
Yeah, there you go. That street right there, hold on.
We can't hear you, Julio.
Got it. I think I see what you're saying. Looks like there's some residents just to the south of that could have been added to it. I think those are two separate communities there, though, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. Yeah. What on logs? Good luck at that.
I understand what he's talking about, but I don't know exactly why. It was just a map design issue.
I was just asking about that street, in what street you made a left, but that's fine.
Deerfield. It's Deerfield.
Let's restart the clock.
Thank you.
Did you have a issue with that you wanted to be addressed?
No, I just wanted to know.
Mayor Kilsheimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to just repeat my comments from last week, and again apologize for I haven't gotten my map finished yet. But as far as District 2 is concerned, Ocoee and Apopka belong together. Winter Garden and Oakland belong together. Ocoee and Apopka belong in District 2, and Oakland and Winter Garden belong in District 1. And I think I won't be able to support anything that doesn't at least move in that direction.
Thank you, Mayor. And our final commenter, at least on my board, so if you're trying to buzz in, please do. Ruth Ann King. Ruth Ann?
Sorry, I thought I had turned mine off.
So no comment there.
No comment, thank you.
Great. In that case, is there anyone else who wishes to comment on the map, or do I hear a motion?
Mayor, if we add that
Absolutely.
in, you're a yes vote?
I'm sorry?
If we add that in, you're a yes vote?
Okay, is there, Mark?
Yes,
did you want
please.
to comment?
Sorry. Yes, there was a point made about Ocoee and Winter Park. I want the board to note, if you look at the old map from 2010, it looks like the districts 1 and 2 in Ocoee were 37 and 9,000. The proposed, the deviation is 2%, as in Winter Park, which was pointed out, I think, by Member Alfont. And again, the deviation is 1%. So we're talking about 14 people in Winter Park and about maybe 1,000 in Ocoee, looks like. Yeah, because District 1 previously was 9,500, and District 1 now is 8,600. That's 1,000 people being moved from District 1 to District 2. I'm looking at it. And then that's 1,000 people in District in Ocoee, and in Winter Park we're talking about 14 people, which I'm sure Mr. Hardage would be able to figure that out.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking 14 people. So anyway, we're running out of time. I just wanted the board to note the difference or the deviation in the percentages.
Thank you, Mr. Arias, and we are in fact out of time. And as I mentioned before, I would look for a motion from...
I'll motion to move it forward.
No, second.
Was that Mr. Arias?
Yes.
Mr. Arias to move forward. The second was Ms. Whittington?
It's a good job.
Thank you. Before we move forward, or we have a motion and a second, we'll move into discussion. Commissioner Hardage, you said you wanted to amend your map with the 4 points from legal.
I would move that the 4 points made by legal that I discussed in the presentation be added to the map, and that I work with staff to make sure that those lines are correct.
Thank you. There's a motion to amend the map as stated. Is there a second? I heard a second from Mr. Arias. Clerk, are we okay, or do we need specificity in that motion? We're fine. Wonderful. So is there any discussion on making the minor amendments to the map as proposed by Mr. Hardage?
Well, point of order, there was already a motion on the floor. Is this an amended motion or a new motion?
We have a motion on the floor to approve the map. We've got a motion during discussion to amend the map this way. So we'll take the amendment first, and then we'll move the map second. So again, is there any discussion on the amended, the changes suggested by Mr. Hardage, Commissioner Hardage? Seeing none?
Excuse me, would you please repeat the maker?
The maker of the motion to amend the map was Commissioner Hardage, seconded by Mr. Arias. So we have a motion to amend the map on the floor. I see no more discussion. I will call the question. All in favor of allowing the map to be amended as proposed by Mr. Hardage, Commissioner Hardage, sorry, please say aye.
Either way.
Aye.
And opposed? Seeing none, we're back discussion on the main motion, which is moving this map as amended forward. This is Committee Proposal 6. Is there any discussion on moving it forward? Seeing no discussion there, I will call the question. Oops, I'm sorry. Gary.
With every map that we enjoy getting familiar with, there are great points, great movements, great thought that's gone into them. There's also detriments. I'm of the understanding that moving this forward, or any map for that matter, gets it into the final round of discussions, and there is where we can continue working on what may be perceived as shortfalls. Is that a correct assumption?
That is indeed correct, Gary. This moves a map forward, and then all of the maps that are moved forward will be brought forth in our final 2 meetings, where we'll review all of the survivor maps and winnow our way down into hopefully 1 map to recommend to the county, but that is our goal. So, but we'll be talking about all of these maps ever again. So that said, are there any additional comments? If not, I will call the question on moving map proposal 6, presented by Commissioner Hardage, as amended into the survivor round, the maps that we will be considering at our subsequent meetings. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? The motion carries with, were there 2 no votes? 1 no vote. With 2 no votes. 2 no votes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hardage. And Commissioner, thank you for your hard work on that map and this wonderful PowerPoint. Next up, we've got map proposals 7 and 8 from Member Hoover. Member Hoover, last week when Virginia had 2 maps we presented together, she wanted to do that. Staff has asked me to have you present one, then the next, just for minute taking and record keeping to make sure we know which comments go with which map. So unfortunately, I'll need you to do 7 and then 8, and maybe some of the debate is redundant when we get to 8 after 7, but that's where we'll be.
Understood.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Zach Hoover, District 1. For Committee Proposal 7, I set out, like I think a lot of the other members have done, to create as little disruption as possible. There's things I know in this map that we've looked at before, and there's some new things that I've tried out that worked and didn't work in various ways that I'll discuss. Just taking it district by district, District 1 notably loses Oakland and just over 40% of Winter Garden and all of Ocoee. Splitting Winter Garden is a bitter pill for me because that's the part of the county that I call home. But I believe the city has strong municipal government and is able to look out for its interests. The district keeps Gotha, which I know is something we've talked about before, and it gains about half of a residential neighborhood to the south, just north of Hunters Creek. District 2, like I said, gains Oakland, all of Ocoee, or at least I attempted to get all of Ocoee in there. I don't know if there's some commercial properties that didn't get all the way in there. The emotional flow of doing this is that you submit your map and the only thing you think is, man, I nailed it. And then you get the legal analysis that may tell you something different. I'm putting that out there for people who haven't yet submitted their maps. I had to miss the meeting last week, but I listened to it when I was driving back from Tallahassee, and I know one of the members mentioned that they believe that the communities around Lake Apopka go well together. I think I'd take that sentiment and agree with it and try to incorporate that into my map. I'm sorry I don't know who that was because I was just listening to it. District 2 loses all of Pine Hills to District 6. I know this is a contentious issue. It's not something I love about this map. I tried to do this in a lot of different ways and ultimately just decided to go for it for no other reason that I don't think it's something we have considered. Again, I don't love that aspect of this map. District 2 becomes a little bit more white and a little bit less black or African American, which I understand is not ideal. Again, it's something that I don't like about this map. District 3 pushes south and eastward, so its borders become 417 to the east and 528 to the south. I continued having the southern border run along 528 rather than West Sand Lake Road where it is now, so that puts a big chunk of commercial and industrial properties, including the Florida Mall, into the 3rd District rather than the 4. If I could get one thing back about this map, it might be that. I think I was trying to be a little bit too cute. There's no reason to do it from a population standpoint, but I'd be interested in thoughts on that. District 4 stays fairly similar, except it loses a little bit of territory to District 1 and 3 that I've already discussed. It still basically looks like a surfacing submarine. It's the Hunt for Red October district. District 5 is almost exactly the same. I made one slight change along North Orange Blossom Trail. And District 6 is also substantially similar, except, as I said, that it does incorporate all of Pine Hills, which, once again, is not my favorite thing about this map. And that's the map.
Thank you, Zach. Legal?
This map does have the maximum deviation of 1.42%, which is under the 10% maximum deviation needed to meet to presumptively meet the one person, one vote standard. It has a relative mean deviation of 0.36%. So all districts are contiguous, so it does meet the minimum threshold to be considered by the committee. In terms of splits, there is only one new multi-district split that is created by this map, and that is in Winter Garden. And that splits Winter Garden between District 1 and District 2. The population's fully moved into a new district. There's only one, and that is Oakland, which is moved fully from District 1 to District 2. Population's fully consolidated into one district. That's Belle Isle. It corrects that 3 population issue there. Then it has Ocoee being consolidated into District 2. It has Pine Hills being fully consolidated into District 6. It has none of these tiny numericals of the under 5% or over 90% in any of the districts. And any other population adjustments occurred in the city of Orlando.
Thank you, Legal. We'll move into discussion. If you wish to speak on the map, please push your button only once. Member Offant.
I must say that of your 2 maps, this is one that I like. That's to start off with. My only comment, and I'm going to be quite honest, I'm not a fan of dividing Winter Garden. I know that's your city, so you could deal with your constituents on that one. But said that, I really appreciate that you put all of Ocoee in District 2. I think that's a smart move. I think it's a bold move to say put everything in District 6 of Pine Hills and Rosemount. I would not dare do that, but I appreciate that you do it. And basically, you left my District 4 with a 0 deviation, and I also have to say I appreciate that. So with that said, that's what I have to say about your map. Simply, thank you.
Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the nice work. This is not easy.
Virginia, if you'll lean in just a little bit more.
The main issue that I have is with the Pine Hills recommendation. And given some of the comments that we have heard week after week from the members of the Pine Hills community who have come out, and that is that they would like to continue to have 2 representatives, essentially. So I would not be able to support this for that reason.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Wes.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair, with your authoritative. Good map. I like this one definitely better than the next proposal. I do like your attempts to make them more palatable as far as shapes. I do share the concern that's already been expressed in regards to respecting the wishes of Pine Hills to stay in District 2 and 6 respectively. And I do like the ambitious move with Winter Garden. I said previously that our community has experienced 25% growth in the last decade, and a lot of the communities that have been partnered together may not always be reflected in our future growth. And I think that this is something that's definitely reflective of that, so I applaud you on that. But I think that if we can continue to work on finding that 2-6-1 split a little bit better, but I think you're on a good path here with this map, so thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Mark.
Good map. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I have to share Ms. Whittington's concern about Pine Hills. I think you're diluting that district a little bit. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but you're splitting it in a way that I think they're losing a commissioner. So I don't know that I would support this map only because of that. I think it's actually to Pine Hills' benefit to have 2 commissioners representing it. But as far as the rest of the map goes, I think you did a good job, and it was bold to do Winter Garden and split it in 2. It's in your district, so kudos to you.
Virginia.
I'm sorry, I was trying to
Okay, Kelly, you've been popping in and out. Are you in or out?
I'm in.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chairman. Thank you for the map. I have some. I'm concerned about Pine Hills moving an entire population that was split between District 2 and District 6, when we've heard very clear articulation from public participation that they want to remain in 2 and 6, or between the 2. So I have a problem with the Pine Hills. The other thing is that I'm looking at the percentages and the distribution throughout the different districts. And my first concern is that half of the districts got less black, which concerns me. And sometimes it's not by that much. But then overall, if we were to define 2+ races as a measurement of diversity, I'm concerned that all of the districts got less diverse. So those are my concerns. The first and foremost being with Pine Hills, and just that we've heard a lot from the people that, that they want the representation from the 2 commissioners. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other speakers in queue. Does anyone else wish to speak about the map, or is there a motion?
May I?
Oh, Kelly, you're back? Oh.
Mr. Co-Chair.
Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you. Member Hoover, thank you for this map. I have to agree. I think that consolidating all of Pine Hills into District 6 unduly creates a dilution in other districts. While I understand the aspiration and the goal, I just think that that's not tenable from my perspective, from a long-term view for how we move forward with maps. So I won't be supporting this, but I do see some other things in here that were advantageous.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion?
If it's all right with the committee, based on that, I'll go ahead and withdraw this map. Again, there is no perfect map. There may not even be a good map. There is the least bad map.
We cannot forego
that
good
can
waiting
move
for
forward.
great. There's no doubt about that.
I put it forward because I thought it's something that should at least be discussed, and I'm happy to withdraw it based on the comments.
I'll second the motion.
Well, we have a motion and a second to withdraw the map. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion carries. Committee Proposal 8. Let's go back 5 minutes.
So Committee Proposal 8, I have been looking forward to getting yelled at by you guys for this map all day. I think my lunch actually tasted better because I was thinking about getting yelled at by you guys for this map while I was eating it. I don't expect that this map is one that will move forward beyond our discussion tonight. In fact, I am not even sure I would support it, so why am I wasting your time with it? Because I think it's important for this body to at least consider a map that was trying to focus on compactness so that people understand the positive and negative consequences of that. There are things I like about it, mostly related to bringing some communities of interest together, and there are things that I really don't like about it, mostly related to a lot of communities that are split up, and the ensuing demographic representation in this map. So again, taking it district by district, District 1 is exactly the same, only because that's where I live, and I started this map after I finished my last map and just started moving lines around from there. District 2, again, gains Oakland, all of Ocoee, portion of Winter Garden, also consolidates Pine Hills or loses Pine Hills into District 6, and loses Eatonville into District 3, which is where things kind of start to get crazy. I consolidated Eatonville and Maitland and Winter Park fully into this district. I kind of like that about it. It also picks up most of Fairview Shores. I meant to include it all, but I inadvertently left out just 550 or so people in District 2. That's, again, the emotional journey of thinking that you nailed what you were trying to do and then finding out through the legal analysis that you did not. District 3 loses parts of Conway and Azalea Park to District 4, which were not previously split. I do not like that. I made the choice just for population, getting things equal between the district. The district becomes significantly less Hispanic, which I also do not like. District 4 also changes dramatically, losing all of the eastern part of the county and much of Alafaya, and picking up parts of the neighborhoods that I just mentioned. It also inadvertently, I think, split part of the airport from District 4 into District 5, just north of Lake Nona. There's a runway to the east of the airport that I think I accidentally split up. If I could have one thing back about this, well, I'd probably have a lot, but that would be a technical fix that I would make. District 4 becomes a majority Hispanic district, which is fine if that's something that you're seeking, but at the expense of Hispanic representation in District 3. Again, this was an unintentional consequence of just going through trying to make compact districts for this body to consider. District 5 becomes sort of a true East Orange County district, including the Lake Nona area, and taking over much of Alafaya. As I mentioned, it loses Winter Park and Maitland, and it becomes significantly more Hispanic by about 10%. And District 6 is largely similar to my prior map, again with the issue of Pine Hills that I think we all agree is not ideal. And it picks up a small residential neighborhood north of Hunters Creek on its southern border. And that is the map, and have a go.
Thank you, Zach. Legal?
This map does meet the minimum legal threshold for the committee consideration. It has a maximum deviation of 2.38%, which is under the 10% presumptive number to have the one person, one vote number. Relative mean deviation is 0.86%. To go through the changes that the map has created, it does create new multi-district split in population of Alafaya, Azalea Park, Conway, and Winter Garden. And then it creates populations fully moved to new districts. Eatonville is fully moved from District 2 to District 3. Maitland is fully moved from District 5 to District 3. Oakland is moved from District 1 to District 2. And Rio Pinar is moved from District 3 to District 4. Populations fully consolidated into one district. This map does consolidate the population of Ocoee into District 2. Pine Hills into District 6, Union Park into District 4, and Winter Park into District 3. There is a small number of individuals that are left in District 2 in Fairview Shores, where 94.81% of Fairview Shores is now in District 3. Other population adjustments occurred in the city of Orlando, and then this map does deal with an issue of zero population in District 5 in Lockhart, consolidating all geographic and population of Lockhart into District 2. And that is the end of legal's presentation.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I have actually a follow-up question for legal. One of the things that Member Hoover mentioned, which I appreciate this exercise, is that this map absolutely deviates from current boundaries in many ways. Talk to us about preservation of cores of prior districts and whether or not considering a map like this that has such deviations, if that creates a challenge with respect to that principle, or is it because that alone is not the focus?
So there are the 5 traditional redistricting principles that are race neutral that must be considered by the committee. Those are compactness, preservation of municipal boundaries, maintaining communities of interest, the preservation of cores of prior district, and consideration of the incumbent interest. They are all to be balanced. So with preservation of cores of prior district, the concept there is while moving any boundary is going to necessitate moving population, and that is part of our goal, so population is going to get moved out of their core district just by nature of this redistricting principle. The idea behind preservation of cores of prior district is that you would mitigate against moving more population than is necessary, because the more population is moved, the more individuals that are moved are now in districts of representatives that they did not elect. And so that is the idea. Now, balancing that idea against the other 4 principles is the challenge that the committee has to wrestle with. And it is a challenge. The Supreme Court has said several times that redistricting is a difficult process because it does include that balancing of competing interests. You can't really deal with compactness altogether, as this map tries to do, without sacrificing something like preservation of the cores of prior districts. So to the extent that the committee could consider it, that would require findings of fact from the committee that the compactness of this map outweighed that cores of prior district to that extent. And so obviously if those extents are minimum, that might be an easier finding for the committee to make. If the issues are egregious and there is this kind of need to balance something, for example, sometimes municipal boundaries, as we are seeing as we're drawing these maps, are a little irregular shaped, so you might sacrifice compactness for the irregular shape of a municipality to keep it all in one district. So those are the kind of balancing that needs to occur.
Thank you. We'll begin our discussion. We'll start the clock. Member Alfont.
Thank you. Let me start that we're in Colonial High School, the pride and joy of the Hispanic community, first high school to become Hispanic, the first high school to have an ESOL program, the first high school to get a Hispanic elected as Teacher of the Year, and a teacher from here is now on the school board. Your district. And your district. I used to live in District 3 and I moved to District 5. You're right about your lunch. This is not a popular map. Let me tell you that for 44 years, I've been fighting for the Hispanic community. As a matter of fact, one of my first activities was creating Hispanic Latin Fiesta, in which I met a couple. She was from Argentina, he was from Colombia. They had this 10-year-old girl who asked questions all the time about government, and I responded to them. For the record, that 10-year-old is here tonight, and her name is Commissioner Mayra Uribe, the commissioner of this district. Just so you know where I'm coming from, I want to bring that perspective. My life has been dedicated to fighting for my community. This map converts District 3, the first Hispanic district, from a majority Hispanic district to a minority district. Talking about going from one extreme to the other, it is right now 49% Hispanic, and it is also, in your map, going to go down to 26. Your map in District 3 would be the widest of all districts. It would go up to 61%. Why do I bring that up? Because currently there is no other district that comes close to that. Other thing, we're here in Colonial High School. Your map would exclude Colonial High School. Now, I know I represent District 4, and I know that I should be flattered that you went to take us to 57%. I don't accept your offer. I would prefer to remain at 49, and that 3 remains at 49. I would take 2 districts, not 1. I know I get passionate about this, and for that I do not apologize. But to take the words of legal and other people, I understand compactness, and I've been mentioning compactness is not that important. Why do I say it's one of the 5? It is not the only. And I think that times we tend to get compact. And I think that is wrong. But I do have one question, and this is personal. The upper corner that you have in goldenrod in your map, that happens to be precinct 531. That's my precinct. I just want to know why you want me out of 5 and put me in 3. And if it's a personal matter, I'm joking. It's just that I always found that interesting. The first thing I picked up is that that's where I live. And I don't want my neighbors to blame me for changing of district. But I'm trying to break the seriousness here by doing this. Don't tell me, But I would have to say one thing. I have told other people I would not support their maps. I cannot even come close to conceiving supporting this map. My community is my life.
We got it. Thank you, Jimmy. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I just wanted to say that that I had the same concern as I did on the previous map, which was the Pine Hills community for this one. And I actually appreciated moving Maitland to another district, which you did in its complete entirety, and then you left Eatonville with its historic roots altogether. And interestingly enough, a good thing about this map is that if we look at 2+ races as a measure of diversity, almost each district got more diverse. But then at the same time, we lost 2 districts that are almost 50-50 Hispanic, and we lost that. So I just wanted to say those comments. Thank you.
Mark.
Mr. Hoover, thank you for the map. I appreciate it, really, and I'm not yelling. But obviously I have to, in concert, represent my member, Alphonse. I can't believe you're moving Azalea from 3 to 4. Azalea's been in District 3 hell since I can remember, and I've lived here all my life. Conway's been in District 3 from what I recall. I can't fathom moving Eatonville to District 3 at all. You moved Fairview Shores to District 3. I don't see you, if we're taking into consideration the traditional redistricting principles, which I have the handout here, I don't see the preservation of core or prior districts. I don't see the consideration of incumbent interest. If you're talking about District 4, you cut District 4, you cut their lifeline down there in the south. I don't see that happening. Rio Pinar, it's been in District 3 since I can remember. Now it's in District 4. I just, again, I think maybe this was the shock map. Is that the value of this map, to shock us into reality, to realize that we're going to have to make some conciliatory, concessions at some point, and I can appreciate the map for that matter, but unfortunately I have to agree with Mr. Alphonse, and I can't support the map. But thanks for the effort.
Thank you, Mark. Jason?
Thank you. By your own admission, this was just an exercise to show how difficult it is to make a map. And, and it's really hard to make these maps without making concessions like we all talked about. So I know you realized that when you came up here and talked about it. And I just really wanted to ask you, how's your lunch sitting right now?
Thank you, Jason. Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Same concerns in terms of Pine Hills. As with the last map. Also, one that was not highlighted by staff is that Goldenrod, 7,000 plus people moved out of District 5 into District 3, so that's also should have been highlighted. Just the dilution of the Hispanic communities, I think, is of most concern. just like it is if it were black communities. I feel the same. So I would not be able to support this the way it is. But thank you for being bold enough to bring this and for hanging on to your lunch.
Julio.
Yes, I want to congratulate you for thinking outside the box. I'm probably going to shock some of my committee members here, but I think you're on the right track to changing things up. We're here to change things up. Some of us think that it should be looking at the future, and this might help with that. I don't know. It might. In regards to consideration of incumbent interests, I think it picks up on preservation of core priorities. The preservation of core priorities, and I'm going to tell you why. So the consideration of incumbent interests around where they live, they said, meaning around where they live, to me, it might be the core of the district. From what I can see, you keep most of that intact. I will say your map needs some work, but I like where you were going, just breaking the pattern that we have seen. I still haven't seen an 8.5% deviation or something along those lines. Our limit is 10. Do not be surprised if I push you guys into that, because we have rules, and as long as we follow them and the map looks good, we're all going to win, especially the community. So congratulations. I do expect another map from you, and I look forward to showing you mine.
Thank you, Mr. Roca. Mr. Hodge, Wes.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Commissioner Hoover, good job. I'm not going to let you enjoy your lunch too much, but you know, I think that this is if we were starting from scratch, you know, what compact districts would look like. But again, you know, not preserving 2 Hispanic districts, and again diluting the black vote or African American vote from District 2 are the biggest concerns. But I appreciate the shock value, as Mr. Arias referred to, on this map. So thank you.
Thank you, Wes. I have no other speakers in line. Would anyone else care to address the map?
Can I make a brief comment?
Of course.
Thank you.
You've got 5 minutes left in this discussion, Zach.
So I really want to thank you guys for indulging me in this. I know we all have things to go home to, but having been through this process 10 years ago, drawing state Senate maps in Pennsylvania, I am keenly aware of the concerns expressed to me about this map and about the last map. You know, we hear from members of the public, and I say this respectfully to the people who have come up and spoke, that, you know, what we should be aiming for are straight lines and rectangles. And I fully understand why people who have not gone through this process before think it should be that easy. But these decisions have real consequences that affect people, oftentimes very, very vulnerable populations of people who have fought their entire lives to make sure their voices are heard. So if you guys will indulge me further, I would like to go through the process of voting this map down so that we can be on the record as responding to what may look good up on a screen, but that might have serious negative impacts on populations of people. Thank you.
So we have a motion from Member Hoover and a second by Member Alfont to reject Committee Proposal 8. Is there any discussion? Virginia.
Actually, I was going to make the motion or second, so I guess I'll third it.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion to reject Proposal 8? Seeing none, all in favor of rejecting Proposal 8, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Proposal 8 is rejected. Thank you for your work, Zach. I think you brought a lot to light in this conversation and that exercise. We have no other maps to consider. We have 2 maps for next week, Proposal 9 and Proposal 10. Next week's meeting is Monday, November 8th at 6:30 at the Wekiva High School Gymnasium. Wekiva High School Gymnasium at 6:30. Please, 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 if you've got maps to submit them as quickly as you can. Remember, November 29th is our last opportunity to submit maps, and there's Thanksgiving that week. So if you're going to get them done, please, in the next 2 weeks, get them submitted so we can dispatch them. Is there any other business? Madam Co-Chair, would you like to share a few thoughts?
No, thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved? Who moved that? Was that Mark?
Hodge.
It was everyone. Okay. All in favor to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Thank you for your hard work tonight, and good night.